Good afternoon, Destination Tea friends. Thank you for joining us today. Our video today was inspired by the fact that the most visited page on destinationtea.com is an article that we wrote for fashion tips for what to wear to afternoon tea. So today we are going to have a lot of fun talking about afternoon tea fashion. What I've done is put together a couple of different looks that I have worn to afternoon teas, and we have reviewed more than 100 afternoon teas for Destination Tea. So we have seen afternoon tea served in many different kinds of venues. Could be a traditional tea room, of course, very frilly, lots of vintage china, antique furniture, really beautiful, light, bright colors inside, very romantic. That might be the setting. Or afternoon tea might be served at an upscale, very glamorous, contemporary, or historic hotel. Could be served in a historic home on a manor or an estate. Could be in the garden. Could be a themed tea, which reminds me to remind you to check out our themed tea party guides. Incidentally, we just released the Regency tea guide. So this was a lot of fun because, Bridgerton's second season came out this year. And even though the show's popularity is leading a lot of people to the tea table, which is wonderful, it's interesting to note that the show takes place in 1813. During the Regency era, technically about 20 to 30 years before afternoon tea was a thing. So we put together a tea party guide to help you to serve a tea that would be authentic to the time period of Bridgerton. And that will be just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to put that guide together. So make sure to check it out. We will put the link below for that tea party guide. Let us begin with today's topic, which is what to wear to afternoon tea. Now, I'm going to take you through a couple of different looks that I put together and asked my good friend Regina Nicole to model for you. And so we will be talking about those and the choices and where you might wear each look. And we'll talk about that in a second, because a lot of times you'll let the afternoon tea venue itself dictate, just like you would, normally when you dress yourself. But I like to think of it as costuming myself for the occasion. And it is an occasion. We're going to talk about why we dress specially for afternoon tea in just a moment. But first, let us begin with first things first, which is to pour myself a cup of delicious tea. Today I'm drinking milky oolong tea. This one I purchased at Zen Tea in Chamblee, Georgia. That is so delicious. Because I love Greece, I like to say the rules are there are no rules. But the truth for afternoon tea dress is there's a wide range of things that you might wear depending on your taste and style and the setting for the afternoon tea. But there are a couple of consistent guiding principles. Repeat after me. This is the golden rule of dressing yourself for afternoon tea. It's a simple 3-word rule. Keep it classy. What does this mean? Well, especially today when you can find designer sneakers, designer ripped jeans, things like this, which normally we would think of as dressing down or dressing more casually, this can become a little bit of a gray area. So there is no hard and fast rule. You really just have to see how the look comes together and ask yourself, do I look elegant? Because this is an elegant affair. If you go onto destinationtea.com or watch some of our other videos on this channel, what you'll learn is that historically, afternoon tea began in upper class British homes, where people dressed like this, or this, or this. Guiding principle number 2, you almost can't be too fancy at afternoon tea. If you've been watching The Gilded Age on HBO, written by Julian Fellowes, who wrote a little-known show called Downton Abbey, so it's really fun to watch. The costumes alone are amazing. You may spy Christine Baranski, who I absolutely love in this show, And just see, now this is the end of the 19th century. You may see her taking tea in the show. Look at what people are wearing as they visit one another and take tea together. So this is how it was. Of course, things change over time. Now we're in 2022. We can't expect to come out corseted, although some people still do. We can't expect to come out, you know, in all of these layers of clothing that used to be part of everyone's daily routine. Now we dress much more casually. This is true. But to honor the history and the roots of afternoon tea and to really enjoy it as a special occasion, I always encourage, get as fancy and as glamorous as you like. But I know that that is not everyone's preference. I'm going to share a range of styles today, from more casual to super fancy, and that way you kind of have an idea of the range of things you might wear that wouldn't be offensive to show up in. What would be offensive to show up into afternoon tea? Again, depends who you ask, depends where you are. Some afternoon teas are served in pubs, some afternoon, in the United States I'm talking about, and some afternoon teas are served in tea rooms that are very casual, kind of like family lunch places. And there's people all around you who have just come in to enjoy lunch. So there's no strict dress code. It's very informal, it's very casual. These kinds of places, it would not be crazy for you to show up dressed up in your, you know, finest accessories and tea hats and tea fascinators. It wouldn't be overdone because you are doing something special even there. But conversely, if you wanted to dress down in those venues, you wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb, you know, be inappropriately dressed for the venue. So we're going to show you kind of a range of choices. Even though this post is predominantly focused on what the ladies wear to afternoon tea, it's worth noting that 25% of destination tea visitors are men. And almost every time I go to afternoon tea now, I see men at the tea tables as well. So we will share at the very end, I will share a couple of examples, but it's the same rule of thumb. Keep it classy and don't be afraid to get super dressed up. So along the way, I'll be sharing little tips and tidbits about accessorizing and how you might like to do that. Let's begin. Our first style today is based around jeans. Jeans? Jeans, you say? What are jeans doing? Jeans have no place in the tea room and the afternoon tea table at all. Jeans are a far cry from what people once wore to afternoon tea. This is true. But I have to tell you, I have been to many, many afternoon teas where very lovely and classy ladies did wear jeans to tea. Now, there are a variety of ways to style an outfit wearing jeans that can dress it up or dress it down. Again, please remember the guiding principle: you almost can't be too fancy at afternoon tea. I will tell you, jeans with a top and a cardigan is a look I see very often at afternoon tea in some of the more casual venues. And you can either, you see what I've done here is I have some really fun shoes on. These are so cool, I love them. But you see how you can play with the style a little bit, right? If you were to, you could wear something that was a shoe that was more casual, would dress the outfit down. You could wear pumps with jeans, and I like to say pumps because it reminds me of the 80s. And that would dress it up a little bit and elevate it a little bit. So you have choices. How about boots? Sure. If you've got some really stylish boots, I'm not thinking like clunky, like walking boots. These boots are not made for walking. These would be like cute boots. If you have boots like that, great, dress it up like that. So there's a lot of different ways to go with jeans. Again, what we're gonna say is avoid ripped and torn jeans, even though I know you can find those designer jeans. And just because something is costly, just check with yourself and say, okay, but is it elegant as well? okay? Because this is supposed to be a refined and elegant affair. So this is just another choice. Now we're moving away from jeans and we're moving more into like tailored trousers, right? Something that's made, you know, a well-made pair of pants that could be, I'm wearing white, that's obviously seasonal, but any color that you like. And I do want to say, I have been focusing on choosing non-black, non-neutral colors to make my wardrobe a little bit more colorful, because my grandmother always used to say we should not be wearing black to celebrations. Naturally, we all love wearing black, and everybody's got great black staples in their closet. So if that's what you want to bring out is your favorite black pair of slacks, then go ahead and do that. But I'm trying to mix it up and use different colors and color schemes, especially when I go to afternoon tea, to make it feel like more cheerful. Slacks with a fun top. Get a little bit of fun jewelry to dress it up a little bit, and you're ready to go. Very simple. Flats, heels, your choice. So we talked earlier about the universal usefulness of having a fun cardigan that you can add to give another layer of style and interest to any look. This is very similar concept to having a great statement jacket or blazer that you just love. Here's one that I recently acquired. I really love wearing it. I feel very sleek and chic in it. I'm sorry, this isn't me. This is Regina who's wearing it. I don't know if I'm going to keep this up. But what you see here again is here's another way of pairing it with pants, right? But dressed it up a little bit with some heels. And you'll also see that I'm wearing this headpiece. I'll put it over here so you can see it better. And all it is a headband that has beadwork and embroidery that was locally made in Decatur, Georgia. I have gotten so much use out of this, and it was very affordable. So the idea here is we don't want to feel like we're at work exactly. This might be something that I wear to a place that feels more modern to me. Some of the newer tea rooms are less romantic and more modern, contemporary, maybe even Asian inspired. And so they may have clean lines and everything may feel like very cool and hip. And so this is a place where I might have fun wearing one of my jackets, and you could style it all different ways depending on what you choose to put underneath it and how you pair your bottoms. Remember, it's almost impossible to be too fancy at afternoon tea. So you'll see in jewelry choice, go ahead, get something glitzy, glamoury, sparkly, get something big statement pieces, fine. This is an outfit that I might also wear to a department store tea room tea, something like that. Something that feels like, you know, chic, fashionable, sleek, something like that. I might wear this there. If I was going less romantic and I was going more into contemporary, stylish, I might choose something with my blazer or jacket. And then I haven't chosen to do that with this look, but very often you could accessorize, especially in the cold months, you might accessorize your jacket with a stylish scarf. Okay, for this next look, remember, we were talking about themed teas, right? So this year is the Queen of England's Jubilee celebration. So we expect there to be lots of British royal themed teas. There were Downton Abbey teas galore. They've gone on for many years. They will still continue to go on. Now we've got the Gilded Age, right? This is set in the 19th century during 50 years into the time of afternoon tea. All of these different period dramas often inspire friends to get together, or even afternoon tea venues, sometimes upscale hotels like the Waldorf Astoria has done special, here in Atlanta, has done special afternoon teas for Downton Abbey's new movie, things like this. So as these come out, if they inspire you, go with it, right? So you'll see in what I'm wearing here that there's that bar shoe that is reminiscent of early 20th century Mary Janes, which often were worn right? Flappers wore them in the 1920s all of the time. And then I just love the color and material of this shirt and the necklace as well. And look at those sleeves. Look at the design of that fabric. And then I've paired it with a fascinator. And so we can talk for 2 seconds about fascinators versus tea-hats. A tea-hat is a tea-hat, obviously, right? There's all different kinds. And I'll tell you what I covet, but I haven't found yet, is a tea-hat from, I don't know, 70 years ago, something. I'd love to find a vintage tea-hat. But look at what I did here. I did this for the Downton Abbey tea, actually, when I was dressing like summer. I don't know if you remember that scene where they were all in their white linen. And all I did was I took a straw hat that I found at a thrift store. It had some embellishment on it I was able to easily remove. And then I just took a ribbon, wrapped it around, and secured it with a brad. This is a brad right here from my scrapbooking station, with a couple of really fun paper flowers that have some kind of, they're like 3D, right? So it was just so cute. Look at that. And it created my look, which I'll share with you. I'll put a picture up so you can see my final look that I put together. But you know, it's fun to, this is another outfit, again, using slacks instead of any kind of dress or skirt. But you can see, you can make it a little bit fancy by how you accessorize it. So now the pants have come off. I really don't know how that sounded. And we're into the world of dresses. Now, here's the deal with a dress. Remember our first rule. Keep it classy. What does this mean for a dress? I have 3 daughters, and I've been helping them dress for afternoon tea for many years. And a lot of times, especially when you're going to afternoon tea in a warm location, you might be inspired to wear a sundress. There is nothing wrong with wearing a sundress, but let me make some suggestions. Avoid flip-flops and go for a shoe that gives your outfit a little bit of style and elegance and dresses it up rather than dresses it down. And then, you know, all dresses are not created equal. Here are a couple of things to consider. The length of your dress and what it may be revealing. So typically, because this is an upper class or a fancy or a refined occasion, we do not want to wear anything that is extremely revealing. Now, while everyone may not agree with me on that point and think that I'm being a little uptight and stodgy, I will still encourage that level of refinement when you go to afternoon tea. This is a good example what I have here, because this dress is a little bit revealing. You see there's a cutout in the back. We're not going so far as to expose ourselves or our undergarments. So that's what I mean by keep it classy. When we're talking about the length of the skirt, I would like to remind you that at afternoon tea venues all over this country, sometimes you are sat in the traditional original fashion, which would why afternoon tea is sometimes also called low tea, because it was served at a low table. Think of like a coffee table, right? Or a parlor table. It's a low table. Everyone is on maybe sofas and armchairs, or maybe low slung upholstered chairs, okay? If that's the scenario and you show up in a super short skirt, you may be a little bit uncomfortable, or at least the person across the way from you might be a little uncomfortable. There's a time and a place for everything. If this is what you would wear to a nightclub, you probably don't want to wear it to afternoon tea. There's another guideline. The other thing I wanted to point out about this look is that you can barely even see it, but there's a brooch that I inherited through, my family that I've used right here. And this is something that I've done in multiple different occasions when going to afternoon tea is, maybe you have a shirt that isn't meeting really nicely right here at the collar, or maybe you have a low cut dress or top and you wanna bring that up a little bit. A brooch, an antique brooch, is a beautiful way to make that look seamless and like you meant it to be that way. And it's just also beautiful to bring like a part of your family's history or someone's history. If it's a vintage one that you found, bring it to a historical occasion with you. So, you know, some people absolutely despise dressing up, and that's why I've included a range of different choices. I will say, if you're going to a very upscale afternoon tea, I'm talking about the Ritz, the St. Regis, the Waldorf, the Langham, etc. Some afternoon teas are served at high-end spas or historical mansions. You know, if you're going to some place like this, very ritzy, then pull out all the stops, my friends. You can have a lot of fun with these outfits. You want to feel glamorous, elegant, you know, have fun with your favorite dressy dresses, dressy fashions. Go for it. What I'm wearing here as well is a necklace that I inherited from my grandmother. So again, I love to bring those. When you're choosing jewelry, I always advise bring that jewelry in. You see my clip-on earrings are enormous. I just love this. You know, it just feels bold and fun in the best way. And then you'll see I'm wearing this tea fascinator actually made by my friend Angela King Cole, and she has Nabby, that's her company here in Georgia, and she makes just beautiful, she's a milliner, so she makes just gorgeous fascinators. And you know, I showed a tea hat before, that is different from a fascinator, which essentially is a gorgeously plumed design on a headband. You'll see that I'm wearing some really fun sparkly heels as well. Really just get glamoury and glittery and just love it. And finally, to fully embrace the fabulousness of afternoon tea fashion, check this out. Okay, so this is something that I have rarely worn, only a handful of times, but here's where I envision it. Maybe it's like an outdoor garden party in the most gorgeous gardens outside of like a manor or something like this, okay? And this would also be an occasion, by the way, I wasn't able to show it because I haven't procured one of my own yet, but we talk about this in the post. Parasols would be very appropriate to bring with you, especially if you're going to be at a sunny afternoon tea. And so if you're going to be outdoors when you're taking afternoon tea, you may like to have a fashion parasol. And I will include some links below so that you can go ahead and find yours. Now what you'll see here is I have an outrageous tea hat. It's this one right here, which I love so much. It's like a giant confection on there. And I'm also wearing gloves. So let's just talk very quickly about the etiquette at afternoon tea with gloves. Do you wear your gloves? Okay, first of all, what we know about afternoon tea is it is meant traditionally to be eaten with your hands. Finger foods are to be served. Dainty, delicate finger foods are to be served at afternoon tea. So if I am wearing gloves at afternoon tea, what is the etiquette when I am ready to eat? Does anyone know? Do I keep my gloves on when I'm taking those little sandwiches, or what do I do with them? I will let you guess because I love trivia. You guessed correctly if you guessed that you need to take those gloves off because it is not done to eat with gloves on. So what you will do is you will remove your gloves once you are seated. Of course, you could always put them in your handbag if you're carrying one with you. Like say you're at an afternoon tea where really people aren't sitting, because don't forget, the very first tea times were just held casually with people kind of gathered around mingling in the drawing room. And so you may not have a seat. And so you may have to hold your teacup in your hand and then take your food with your other. If that's the situation, you're gonna need to either tuck your gloves under your arm or put them into your purse would be better, right? Because you don't wanna have to fuss with them and think about it. But if you're today, most of our afternoon teas are served seated. We're seated, okay? So if you are seated, actually, your gloves go in your lap beneath your napkin, okay? And that is obviously to keep them from being soiled, right? Because you've got your napkin in your lap covering them up. And by the way, this beautiful little tea napkin is from my grandmother. And so they're safely away. You do not stash them on the table for obvious reasons, right? First of all, they could get dirty. Secondly, they have no place mixing in with the food, etc. So they go in your lap when it's time to eat, and you put your tea napkin on top of them in your lap. I also want to point out, you'll see I'm wearing pearls. Pearls have been a classic forever. So again, if you're wanting to wear something that reminds you of older times, that's just a classic item to have in your jewelry collection. You might have a shorter one that's more like a choker. You might have a long string and then you can double it around. Pearl earrings are another great accessory to use, especially if you're wearing a really amazing, fabulous tea hat, right? And so you have so much, like this one is one color, but if I'm wearing this tea hat, which has so much going on, just hold it closer so you can see, like each one of these has its own little tiny bead inside. There's feathers, there's all kinds of wonderful business going on. Then I might wear a really busy earring, or I might go for something more classic and simple, like just a diamond stud or a pearl stud. Those are some ideas for your jewelry, but really you could just have so much fun with your jewelry. The only rule we say about the jewelry is you probably don't want to wear a bracelet with lots of dangly pieces, like a charm bracelet or something that's got a lot of moving, dangling pieces, because again, afternoon tea is a food that we serve ourselves with our hands. So you're going to be moving around. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of, you know, bringing condiments onto your plate, spreading your scone, reaching for foods. And so this dangling business might become an issue. So just keep it clean to keep it classy. Okay, we said we would offer some examples of what a gentleman might wear to afternoon tea as well. Naturally, there is also a range for them, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. Here we've got slacks with a button-down short sleeve collared shirt. Works great, especially if you're in a warmer climate. Similar look here, this time with khakis and a polo shirt. We love that bright color. You might think of it as business casual. We love to see different patterns and different colored shirts at afternoon tea. And don't forget about your accessories like your shoes. We love to see those dress shoes, a nice belt. And then you can see here the gentlemen on the left and right are wearing slacks, jackets, suit jackets. On the right, a tie. No tie on the left, but you can have fun with it, play with it. You see a pocket square here. Bow ties, love it. Ties, fun patterns. All of these things are welcome. Probably not a tuxedo, but otherwise anything else goes. Dress it up. We love it. Thank you so much for watching today. Please comment below. Always think about sharing your pictures with us. We love to see when people are having a great time at afternoon tea. If you're extremely proud of your afternoon tea fashion, we want to know about it. And we might repost it to our social media to inspire others. And remember, have fun. That's the whole point. Have fun dressing yourself up and being truly classy and elegant at your afternoon tea. Before we get into some very fun modeling by our guest model, we'll call her Regina Nicole, who thankfully got, okay, I'm full of it. I'd like to give special thanks to Regina Nicole for her modeling. She is a little shy. She is a little shy and a little self-conscious, so here's to her courage. Okay, look number 2. I wanted to do a little bit more exploring with pants. And we'll do another post about fun ways to tie your scarves. It's like so much fun to learn about. Thank you. Break for tea. Just a moment. Momentito. I need to break for tea. Okay, here we are with another look, still in the land of the trousers. Trousers. Do they make trousers for women or trousers for men? Okay, I don't claim to be. Call my cousin Juliet. Juliet, I need you. My cousin Juliet once designed fashions in Milano. Ciao, Giulietta, ho bisogno di te. We want to cover up. We want to keep covered, if you know what I mean. Okay, so what you'll see here is that I do have a little bit of a cutout in the back of this dress, which I judged to not be inappropriate, okay? But you have to go with your own judgment and ask a friend, ask someone else, you know, does this feel like uncomfortably revealing? Conversations never had in 2022. File that away.